You know what's truly mind-blowing? Most people navigate their entire lives intertwined with money, working tirelessly to earn, spend, and manage it, yet they never genuinely grasp the underlying mechanisms that govern its flow. I'm not referring to the textbook definitions you encounter in economics classes. I'm talking about the real, tangible system. The often invisible architecture that dictates whether you'll struggle to make ends meet or enjoy peaceful nights knowing your financial future is secure. The reality is, this knowledge isn't readily shared. Nobody explains it in plain terms. And there's a deliberate reason for that. The individuals and institutions who benefit the most from your lack of understanding are the very ones crafting the rules of the game. They maintain the system's complexity, ensuring their continued advantage. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly how you've been unwittingly playing a game without ever being taught the actual rules. It's like being handed a chessboard and told to play, but without ever learning how the pieces move or the strategic objectives. Let me ask you something fundamental. What exactly is money? Most people, when asked this question, will offer standard, textbook answers. They might say it's a medium of exchange, a convenient way to trade goods and services. Or they might describe it as a store of value, something that holds its worth over time, allowing you to save for future purchases. And technically, those definitions are true, as far as they go. But they're woefully incomplete, superficial descriptions that scratch the surface but fail to reveal the deeper truth. Because, in reality, money is fundamentally just trust. It's a collective agreement, a shared belief that this piece of paper, this metal coin, or these fleeting numbers displayed on a screen possess inherent value. It's a social construct built upon faith and confidence. Fiat currencies, like the U.S. dollar, for instance, have no intrinsic worth. They're not backed by gold, silver, or any other tangible commodity. Their value depends entirely on public confidence, the unwavering belief that they can be exchanged for goods and services. And that's the first grand illusion. When you receive a paycheck, you're not actually receiving wealth in its truest form. You're receiving a claim on wealth, a promissory note. A promise that you can exchange that money for something of real value. The moment people lose faith in that promise, the moment public confidence erodes, the value of that money evaporates. Imagine a scenario, however unlikely, where tomorrow everyone woke up and collectively decided that the dollar was no longer worth anything. In that instant, it wouldn't be. The government couldn't force people to accept it. The entire system would crumble. It only works because we all agree that it works. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy based on collective belief. Centuries ago, a small, influential group realized that if they could control that agreement, that trust, they could effectively control everything else. And so they did. They meticulously built elaborate banking systems and complex financial institutions designed to make money seem mystical, arcane. Something far too complicated for the average person to possibly understand. And their plan worked brilliantly. Most people never stop to question the fundamental nature of money. They simply use it, day in and day out, without ever delving into its underlying mechanisms. And if they don't have enough, they internalize the blame, assuming it's a personal failing, a lack of financial acumen. That's not an accident. It's by design. It's a meticulously crafted system that perpetuates itself by keeping the majority of people in the dark. So, let me walk you through the inner workings of the actual system. The real-world dynamics that govern your financial life. When you deposit money into a bank, you probably assume that the bank is simply holding it safe for you, acting as a secure repository for your hard-earned savings. But that's not the full story. The bank doesn't just keep your money locked away in a vault, it actively loans it out to other borrowers. This system is called fractional reserve banking. A practice where banks are only legally required to hold a fraction of their total deposits in reserve, readily available for withdrawal. The rest, they're free to lend out and generate profit. But here's the part that will really make your head spin. The revelation that exposes the true magic trick behind the entire system. The bank lends out money that doesn't actually exist yet. They create it digitally, out of thin air, simply by making loans. It's a process of digital alchemy, where new money is conjured into existence through the act of lending. Every dollar circulating in the system beyond the physical currency in circulation represents a debt that someone, somewhere, owes to a bank. Think about the implications of that. Your salary, the money sitting in your bank account. A significant portion of it only exists because someone else is diligently paying interest on a loan. If those borrowers default on their loans, if they can no longer meet their repayment obligations, that money effectively vanishes from the system, creating a ripple effect of financial instability. And here's where the situation becomes even darker, where the inherent flaw in the system is laid bare. The system requires debt to grow continuously. It necessitates perpetual expansion, an unending cycle of borrowing and lending. Why? Because every loan has interest attached to it. Imagine a bank creating $1 million in new loans with a 5% interest rate. In that instant, it has injected $1 million into the economy. But it has also simultaneously created a requirement for $1.050. 000 to exist in order to pay back the principal and the accrued interest. Where does that extra $50 000 come from? The answer, invariably, is more loans, more debt. It's a self-perpetuating cycle that needs constant expansion to function, a never-ending treadmill of borrowing and repayment. It's not a bug in the system, it's a feature. It's a fundamental aspect of the design, intentionally built in to ensure its continued operation. The architects of this system understood a fundamental truth about human nature. Most people would rather experience the illusion of feeling rich while burdened by debt than embrace the perceived reality of feeling poor while enjoying true financial freedom. They deliberately engineered a culture where debt is normalized, where borrowing is encouraged, and where financial well-being is often measured by one's ability to accumulate possessions, regardless of the underlying debt burden. And the statistics are frankly staggering. The average American household now carries over $154,000 in debt, encompassing mortgages, car loans, credit card balances, and student loans. And that's just households. The U.S. national debt has surged past $37 trillion in 2025, a figure so astronomical that it's difficult to even comprehend. And despite these staggering figures, most people internalize the blame, assuming that their financial struggles are due to their own personal failings. They believe they're simply not good with money, lacking the discipline or knowledge to manage their finances effectively. But the reality is far more nuanced. They're not necessarily bad with money. They're simply playing a game where the rules were deliberately written by individuals and institutions who win when they lose. The system is rigged in favor of the lenders, and the borrowers are often left struggling to keep up. But the first crucial step to changing any game, to improving your odds of success, is to finally learn the rules, to understand the underlying mechanics that govern the system. You might be thinking, okay, I understand now that the system is inherently designed to promote debt. But I could still opt out, right? I could choose not to participate in this cycle of borrowing and spending. And technically, you're right. You could. It's theoretically possible to live a debt-free existence, to avoid the allure of credit cards and mortgages, and to live within your means. But the system has deliberately built in layers of psychological hooks. Subtle but powerful mechanisms designed to ensure that most of us never even attempt to break free. First, there's the pervasive influence of the status effect. Money is no longer solely about survival. About meeting your basic needs and ensuring your physical well-being. It's become intrinsically linked to social status. A way of signaling to the world that you've made it. That you've achieved a certain level of success and affluence. And the system has cleverly ensured that the primary way you signal that status is through conspicuous consumption. The acquisition of expensive and often unnecessary things. The sprawling house in the affluent suburb. The luxury car parked in the driveway. The latest smartphone that costs more than a month's rent. These are all symbols of status. Markers of achievement in a society obsessed with material possessions. You weren't born inherently wanting these things with such intensity. You were meticulously trained to desire them, bombarded with relentless advertising, saturated with curated images on social media, and influenced by the spending habits of the people around you. The constant exposure creates a sense of lack. A feeling that you're missing out if you don't possess these status symbols. And the most ingenious part of this system is that it allows you to acquire these things long before you can actually afford them. That's the essence of debt. It's essentially time travel for consumption. Allowing you to experience the fleeting illusion of feeling rich today while committing to paying for it for the next 30 years. But here's what's truly terrifying about that arrangement. While you're diligently paying off those debts, while you're chained to your monthly payments, you can't afford to take risks. You can't quit the job you hate, even if it's slowly eroding your soul. You can't start a business, even if you have a brilliant idea that could change the world. You're trapped, not in physical chains, but in a gilded cage of comfort, bound by your financial obligations. The people at the top of the system understand this dynamic intimately. They know that people burdened with debt are predictable and controllable, far less likely to challenge the status quo or disrupt the existing power structures. So, they actively create and promote complex financial products designed to confuse you, to obfuscate the true costs, and to extract fees at every turn. Overdraft fees that seem disproportionate to the transgression. Annual percentage rates, APRs, on credit cards that soar into the stratosphere. And minimum payment amounts deliberately calculated to keep you paying interest indefinitely. These are all tools designed to extract wealth from the borrowers and transfer it to the lenders. It's not complicated by accident, it's complicated on purpose. The complexity serves to discourage scrutiny, to prevent people from fully understanding the system and its inherent biases. Because when you don't understand the system, you inevitably blame yourself when you fail within it. And when you blame yourself, you don't get angry at the system, you don't challenge its legitimacy, and you don't demand reform. Now, let me show you how the other half lives, how the people who actually understand money, who have mastered its rules, operate within this system. They don't use debt the way you do, as a means of financing consumption, of acquiring material possessions. They use it strategically, as a powerful tool for wealth creation. Here's the fundamental difference in mindset. When you borrow money, you typically borrow to consume. You buy a new car, take an extravagant vacation, or splurge on the latest gadgets. Your debt goes up, but your assets remain relatively stagnant. You're essentially trading future income for present gratification. When a wealthy person borrows money, they almost always borrow to invest. They buy a rental property, start a business, or purchase stocks and other appreciating assets. Their debt initially goes up, but their assets grow at an even faster rate, generating income and increasing their overall net worth. And here's where the magic truly happens. The interest they pay on those investments is often tax-deductible, a significant advantage that further accelerates their wealth accumulation. So, while you're diligently paying interest with after-tax dollars, diminishing your disposable income, they're leveraging a tax advantage to fund their investments, effectively subsidizing their wealth-building activities. It's the same fundamental tool, debt, but when you use it, it often enslaves you, trapping you in a cycle of repayment. When they use it, it enriches them, further solidifying their financial advantage. This is where the concept of compound interest becomes the most powerful force in finance. Not working against you on your debts, but working tirelessly for them on their assets. If you invest $10,000 at a 10% annual return, and reinvest the earnings each year, after 40 years, you'll have accumulated over $450,000. The power of compounding is truly remarkable, but it requires patience and discipline. But here's the catch, the hurdle that prevents most people from ever experiencing the benefits of compound interest. You need money first to invest. And the system, as we've already discussed, ensures that most people are too busy servicing debt, too preoccupied with paying off loans and credit card balances, to ever accumulate the capital necessary to invest. The wealthy often start with generational wealth, an inheritance or financial gift that provides them with a significant head start. By the time they reach their 30s, their assets are already generating passive income, further accelerating their wealth accumulation. Meanwhile, the average person is often just starting to get ahead financially in their 50s, right as they need to start preparing for retirement. The timing is deliberately skewed. The math was never designed to be in your favor. So, here's what I want you to fundamentally understand. Knowing how the system works doesn't magically free you from it. It doesn't instantly erase your debts or guarantee your financial success. But it does something far more important. It lets you stop blaming yourself for being trapped in it. And that changes everything. Because once you understand the game, once you recognize the rules and the biases, you can start to choose differently. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but differently. You can decide that you don't need to signal wealth you don't actually possess. You can resist the urge to keep up with the Joneses, to impress people you don't even like with possessions you can't afford. You can choose to live below your means, prioritizing financial security over fleeting moments of consumer gratification. You can't opt out of the system entirely. It's too deeply ingrained in the fabric of modern society. But you can opt out of participating in it the way it wants you to. The way that perpetuates the cycle of debt and dependence. You probably won't become a billionaire overnight. And you may never amass the kind of wealth that allows you to live a life of extravagant luxury. But you could build a life where money serves you, where it empowers you to pursue your passions, to support your loved ones, and to live a life of purpose and meaning, instead of the other way around. And that isn't nothing, that's everything. That's true financial freedom, the ability to make choices based on your values, not your financial constraints. So now you know how money really works. The hidden mechanisms that govern its flow and the subtle biases that shape our financial lives. The question now is, what are you going to do with that knowledge? That's entirely up to you. If you found this eye-opening, if this information resonated with you, or if you're eager to explore more untold truths about finance and the systems that shape our lives, hit that subscribe button below. There are new videos every week breaking down the complex systems that govern our world, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions and navigate these systems more effectively. And the more you know, the better your chances to win at this game, to achieve financial security and live a life of purpose and meaning. That next episode might just be the one that changes everything for you. The one that provides the insight or strategy you need to unlock your full potential. So don't miss it. Thanks for watching.